So let's start by the guy who is coming from very far away, that's Evan. So just tell us a few minutes what you're doing. So you were upstairs at the blockchain event from our friends. So what are you doing and why you were upstairs before?
I'm doing a lot of cool things. I'm building different businesses. I run an incubator where we work with non-tech entrepreneurs who have ideas. They come to us and we invest in them, we give them resources and we build the companies with them. One of the companies we built is Almora, which is a crypto investment bank. And that's the reason I was up in Monaco International Blockchain. With Almora, we work with companies who want to risk capital via the crypto markets. And we underwrite token sales, something similar to what my friend does here. We've done much less than them. We've raised about 100+ million over the last 8 months, delivered a 10x return to our investors in the first project we did with the former president of Bulgaria as the chief advisor. And then apart from this, I have vodka companies, cannabis companies, fashion companies, and different hospitality ventures, travel ventures. But yeah.
Fashion, I'm sure. I love your shoes.
Thank you.
Fantastic. I hope we can zoom on them. Okay. Paul, you are representing SOSL again. So we love SOSL, you realized that. But Paul, what you had in mind, because we talk a lot about what SOL is doing, but you had something else in mind.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Denny. This is the other end of business. It's quite a small business, but it's going to be big. So why I'm here is to introduce a project whereby we're taking a pure private sector company in Kenya, which has been on the ground. It's a last mile distribution business, totally digitalized, and it's selling clean energy, health, wealth, and education. The business model is successful. It's a company called Mawezi, purely for profit, purely running as a business, but we're fusing it with SOS Sahel, and we're taking that business model into some of the Sahelian countries. So Senegal, Burkina Faso. Off the back of that, we're working with the UN. We're going to create and launch in January a United Nations hub for the Sahel, which SOS Sahel will be running. Embedded in that, you'll have this business model. And off the business model, we're going to develop a series of vocational academies in 6 Sahelian countries. And that's looking to train and employ 73,000 solar technicians over a 5-year period. And then beyond that, we'll take it into agriculture, irrigation technicians. So we're combining business with SOS Sahel, with a response to some of the key problems within the Sahel, and we're building an education. And I think it's a fantastic project over the next 5 years.
Yeah, I know another example about a yogurt company that you started in Senegal with SOSL, but we can come back later to that because it's very impressive.
The key thing is combining private for profit, business model that works, one of the largest and oldest French NGOs in sub-Saharan Africa, and education, and plugging it straight into President Macron's response to some of the problems in the Sahel. And I think that's super exciting. All digital.
Of course, and exciting because at the end of the day, we tend to put social business on the side of people just losing money and the capitalist system that's making money. In fact, you can combine both very easily.
I think you've got to unpack the language. This social business, we've got a business which makes money. The people in the Sahel want to be connected to businesses that make money. And if they're serving environmental needs and green needs and agricultural needs and attaching people to value chains, that's good business.
Pierre, you became a leading voice about blockchain. So you were at this blockchain event last year, I guess.
Yes.
And so first, why? Because you did so many things. You have been the general manager at lastminute.com, so a travel company online. Then you are deep interest for Africa, I know that. But why blockchain? How did you manage to reach to this blockchain universe?
I guess just because of my background of engineer mixed with the same than you with HEC, always interested in technology. So I dived in neural networks in 1983 when I was in McKinsey. At the time, it was expert systems and all of that, and everyone was talking only about that. And then came the, I would say, data mining, came the cloud, and now is a new wave. And my perspective on that is that we missed all the precedent former waves. So there is here an opportunity to do something, I would say, useful. I was also at the beginning of the internet with AltaVista, launching AltaVista in France and 32 countries in the world. And no way at the time to, I would say, to get a sense of the utility and the switching word for the French government. So I spent time with Valérie Pécresse, Chirac at the time, and they were just saying to me, well, digital in 2001, it's only 0.1% of the economy, so not that interesting. And I think blockchain is just doing the same role, the same size of wave, of shift, of quantum leaping. I would say the mindset and all of that, but doing that in a very quick way. Just because that's the first time in the history that you've got a technology able to manufacture, to produce its own currency. So its own money, and we've seen that over the last 2 years. So it's a kind of machinery, auto-induced projects. So that was kind of fun. And we took the lead, I would say, in saying, blockchain, okay, but let's do that. Let's raise money for the good. So that's why the name of the company is Solid, which is the abbreviation of solidarity and not solidity or whatsoever. So it's really solidarity.
But, yeah, that's something I wanted to mention before we go to Zakaria. There's this kind of widespread movement, and there's these buzzwords sometimes that we use, and suddenly, it's blockchain, it's ICO and everything. But tech for good. It's something that is a recurring term all around the world. What's the meaning of tech for good for you?
Tech for good means that you have the ability to connect people with each other. For example, right now we've got Gilets jaunes in France. They are just, I would say, expressing a lack of solidarity, of sharing and all of that. So there was some mention about Airbnb and Uber and all of that, or the sharing economy popping up. But I do think that blockchain has the ability to incentivize this sharing. Crypto hour against crypto car, against crypto room, against crypto kilowatt-hour, or against crypto carrot or saucisson for the French in the for the French in the room. So that's, I would say, the kind of technologies that may foster, I would say, this hidden technology and this lack of existence, purpose in life for so many people in France right now, and probably in the world too. The other part is the ability to raise money just by a kind of crowdfunding, but crowdfunding 4.0, because you can raise, you can switch. It's not only pre-selling a car, it's a car which is going to evolve, transform itself in a plane, in an helicopter, or whatsoever, what you decide to do with your token, which is the unit, basic unit, in fact, of this new economy.
Zakaria, I'm sorry, it's a little kind, you realized that we are kind of disorganized for this last afternoon, so you were supposed to be in the previous stuff, but we changed the time and everything. But I spent 5 years full-time in Morocco a few years back in 2000, then half-time because I was living in the US. So my memory now is overdated. So what's the state of small, medium, and businesses of the startup world in Morocco, in French, in English, whatever you want. Yeah.
Bon, je pense qu'à l'instar de ce qu'on voit aujourd'hui aussi, ça a été rappelé tout à l'heure en France, plus de 95% de tissus sont des PME. Et tout le challenge aujourd'hui, c'est, on parle beaucoup d'accompagnement à la transformation digitale, mais déjà les accompagnements à se transformer tout court pour qu'elles comprennent que effectivement, avoir une vision, avoir un vrai projet d'entreprise, c'est quelque chose de fondamental. Et le patronat, donc la CGM, donc depuis qu'on est arrivé à la nouvelle équipe il y a 6 mois, tout l'enjeu aujourd'hui, c'est de mettre de l'humain dans les organisations. Et un peu le background que j'ai aujourd'hui à travers mon parcours, aujourd'hui mon vécu du CJD, ce qui fait que quand j'entends aujourd'hui mettre l'homme au centre, la performance globale est quelque chose qu'avec l'équipe, on est en train de déployer pour faire en sorte qu'effectivement, cette digitalisation, puisque le mobile, on est à 125% d'utilisation, donc les gens, certains ont plus que 2 mobiles, on est à 60% d'utilisation d'Internet, population toute confondue, plus de 100% dans les grandes artères, dans les grandes villes. Donc le challenge aujourd'hui sur les PME, c'est comment les accompagner à aller vers les ETI. Donc ça, c'est un vrai challenge. Donc il y a des programmes importants qui se font avec des organisations de capital investisseur, mais aussi la bourse, pour les amener à effectivement à se poser la question, c'est quoi ma stratégie, ma vision et comment je me vois dans les 5-10 prochaines années. Et puis leur rappeler qu'ils ont une opportunité, c'est qu'on est un bridge entre l'Europe et l'Afrique. Et là, effectivement, le Maroc a aujourd'hui une image et un capital immatériel qui fait que beaucoup de PME se greffent sur les grands groupes, puisque on est passé depuis 3 ans premier centre financier sur l'Afrique, premier fabricant de véhicules devant l'Afrique du Sud, premier centre logistique avec Tangemed, et donc aussi premier transporteur aérien. Donc tous ces atouts sont mis à la disposition, je pense, des PME qui commencent à s'internationaliser, donc beaucoup effectivement en Afrique, puisque le Maroc est le premier investisseur africain sur le continent, et veut emmener un maximum de PME. Donc le vrai challenge, c'est de sortir des grands groupes financiers ou télécoms qui sont devenus premiers, deuxième opérateurs, et embarquer donc les PME dans cet écosystème. Et donc ça fonctionne relativement bien. Maintenant, il faut accélérer et surtout. Et je pense que ça, c'est aussi, on a beaucoup entendu un peu des territoires qui sont un peu excentrés. Tout le challenge, c'est avoir une meilleure redistribution.
Super. So I was listening to his sound because I was expecting the figures about the internet audience. So we have 3,000 people online, which is great. So hello.
C'est ça l'avantage de la digitalisation.
A lot of people around us, me included, because I never went there, don't know exactly what is going on in India. We have an image like China, everything which is 1,000 miles away of the reality. So I think the internet commerce is just getting crazy high. We have this image of a very educated population where you have a lot of engineer schools. You have large groups because next year Mr. Mahindra and the head of Tata will be there with us. So do you have this ecosystem where you have very small, tiny companies like we have in France and huge giant and nothing in the middle? Is it so much a tech world in India, because we know that there's diverse problems and issues that India has also to solve, like Africa, but it's going faster. What's the state of India in a few minutes, if you can just give a portrait of what's going on? What are the hot topics for you when you're an investor?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the best way to open this is like, India has 1 billion customers for you, right? Which there's not many other countries which can say that. And what's also interesting is last year, 600 million people in India accessed the internet for the first time on their smartphones.
How many?
600 million.
Wow.
That's almost double the size of Europe.
Yeah, sure.
They never had access to internet before. They have never been on the internet, but they got access to a smartphone. So I don't know if you know Reliance Jio, which is the largest telecom network in India now. They gave away free internet, so you don't have to pay anything. Don't pay anything, just get the SIM card and use it for free. Free data, free calls, free phones. This was basically a very big power play. There's a whole story about this. But from the benefit to the users was there was all these people who came on the internet for the first time. And now they are looking for opportunities, they're looking for things. And you have to remember, these are people who, most of them don't have much in life, right? They only make 300 to 500 euros a month on average. But all of them have a lot of time. They have a lot of free time that they spend on Instagram every day, on Facebook, on social media, looking at things. That's all they do. They're on their phone, and how the previous generation used to spend hours watching TV, the next generation will spend hours watching on the phone. That's the new TV, I would say, basically.
Of course.
And that's where they're consuming the content, and that's what matters the most to them. So there's a real opportunity here to build businesses and cater to these people. And it doesn't matter if you're a big business, especially in the tech world, right? At least if you're a big business or a small business, it doesn't matter, because you can build a product and push it out to everybody at one time. If you have a good product, it will sell itself. Dope always sells itself, right? I mean, I was in the app space very early. I built apps myself when I was very young, and I launched apps. I didn't have to worry about any marketing. But coming to your question about how the tech ecosystem is, yes, there are obviously a few big companies which are employing hundreds of thousands of engineers and then outsourcing them to bigger companies.
Yeah.
But there are also a lot of small shops, and you see a lot of them coming up. But the problem you see is that most of these, there's no quality control in India. You lack quality control, and that's why there's a lot of small, medium-sized shops which are building technology, great technology, but they don't have a sense of quality control that can be matched somewhere like Europe, for example, or the US. We do not have this as of now in India.
Yeah.
But in context to India, the quality could be considered okay.
And what was the state of blockchain, cryptocurrencies? Is it something hot as well, or?
So in India, the government does not consider it as legal tender. But I will also say this much, that the biggest buyer for cryptocurrencies in India is the government itself, is the government officials and government employees themselves. But they do not consider it legal tender as of now. But you cannot stop the movement, right? I mean, India has so many students and people interested in blockchain, it's crazy. Everybody is very, very interested in this space. I may have a biased view because I'm in this industry myself. We opened India's first blockchain experience center about 3 months ago. In this, what we do is we train people on blockchain, and we invite companies to work out of there and build a hub and community around blockchain. So we have taught 3,500 students in the last 3 months about blockchain and how to program for blockchain. And we have demand 10,000 plus students. The universities are coming to us and saying, hey, can you do a blockchain course? Hey, can you do a blockchain course? If you de-link crypto and blockchain, yes, India is going to be a leader when it comes to blockchain, at least a talent by itself, because there's so much talent. And right now in the blockchain space, there's about almost 15 jobs for every blockchain engineer. There is not that many good engineers out there.
Yeah.
And so, but this is what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of demand. The government in India is obviously doesn't play ball that easily. It takes time, and they work in a very unique way, that I would use the term. So you have to work with them. But the way I see it is, it's a strong movement, and once the people want something, you can't stop it. It's only a matter of time before they have to work with the people.
Exactly. 2 questions, one for you, Paul, one for you, Zakaria. So what's the state of using tech to promote the actions of this social business stuff that SOS is launching? So it can go from energy, but certainly speaking with Pierre, I would tell you that using blockchain and everything would be useful for the producers that you promote and support. But where are you in this thinking about using technology to foster and boost the action of SOSL, or additional examples that you wanted to mention maybe? Yeah.
2 points, really quickly, because I think time is running. One is, it's absolutely fundamental. If you look at the fundamental numbers of the Sahel, 300 million people now, 500 million by 2050, huge issues, huge problems, but great potential in terms of a demographic bounce. 75% of the Sahel is under 20. So you have to give them jobs, and you have to give them hope, and the only way you're going to do it is by changing the model. That involves technology, digital, blockchain, whatever you've got. Land tenure is a huge issue. I know there's an application around blockchain there. That's really interesting. But can we have my slide on for the second point? One slide I want to flag up.
The second one.
Okay, look, I'm going to be really quick. To change the development dynamic in Africa, and that's Kofi Annan, the late Kofi Annan, at the New York Stock Exchange in 2006. We have to move the flows of money in Africa from billions into trillions, okay? To do that, we have to create safe harbors in Africa, in the Sahel. The people on that stage represent $4 trillion. That was a movement Kofi Annan backed in 2006. That movement now represents $80 trillion in institutional capital. That is the type of money that we have to show Africa to, and we have to make that connection in coming decades. The technology part of it will be fundamental, but we have to reduce the African risk premium, because I think it's way overperceived. And the sort of projects that SOS Sahel are doing, and the backing in terms of technology, in terms of agriculture, in terms of creating islands of hope, in time, will release institutional funds into Africa. So my simple point is, the $4 trillion there, that is now 80 trillion backing the UN's principles for responsible investment has to be told the African investment story in a different way. Technology, digital, creativity, the sort of work this guy's doing is fundamental, or you won't get the investment flows, you won't get the development, and that will be a tragedy.
That's it. And Zakaria, so Morocco is very active in Africa. Certainly the most active North African country. It's kind of hub now because most of the large Moroccan countries are all over the place in West Africa. So is it the same for small and medium companies? Are they going there?
Donc, je pense que pour rejoindre ce qui a été dit, donc le digital n'est plus un luxe et au contraire, c'est devenu un levier pour accélérer le développement, notamment, comme je le disais tout à l'heure, sur le continent. On a beaucoup de PME qui sont dans des régions encore très excentrées. Donc, le digital permet donc d'accélérer l'accès, je dirais, au marché, l'accès à de la connaissance et puis surtout la possibilité de se mettre sur le bridge. Puis ce qui est aussi intéressant et sur lequel nous travaillons avec d'autres, c'est servir aussi je dirais, de tiers de confiance par rapport à la diaspora, parce qu'il y a un vrai enjeu pour tous ces gens qui veulent faire un payback, mais tout en restant dans les pays où ils sont. Et je pense que c'est un peu le challenge de ce que veut faire aujourd'hui, notamment le Maroc, en montant aujourd'hui des clusters aujourd'hui d'entrepreneurs pour pouvoir permettre à cette diaspora qui souvent a de l'expertise, de l'argent, à pouvoir venir. Et puis, pour finir aussi, je pense qu'il y a un enjeu important qu'on oublie. C'est vrai que l'Afrique, c'est les Afriques. Et cette capacité qu'a eu le Maroc d'apprivoiser aujourd'hui l'Afrique subsaharienne permet aujourd'hui à un Marocain, quand il part, on dit plus que c'est le blanc, on dit l'Africain. Je dirais, cette appropriation de l'Afrique plurielle dans la langue et aussi dans la couleur est un actif immatériel important pour donner, ce que j'ai dit tout à l'heure, du sens à cette triangulaire, où là, beaucoup de PME ont un vrai besoin, je dirais, d'expertise qu'elles n'ont pas toujours. Et là, je pense que l'Europe peut l'utiliser. Et ce type de plateforme, et notamment grâce à tout ce qu'on dit aujourd'hui sur ces 2 jours, a vraiment du sens à un moment où l'Afrique va doubler la taille d'ici 2050. Il y a un vrai challenge pour pouvoir faire de la complémentarité qui devient aujourd'hui, pour finir, tout sauf un luxe, pour nous amener à travailler ensemble intelligemment et remettre de l'humain avec un grand F au milieu.
Great. So I think we went over time. Suddenly it was 0 and it's 2:30, but I'm sure we don't have 2:30 minutes. So the point of day 1 is trying to build a bridge between Europe and Africa through technology to build the most inclusive world. I would like to, when we have opportunity, to discuss more with Indian players, because I think that having India in the equation should be certainly a good idea, because if you had a few 100 millions of Indian plus the 1.2 billion in Africa and the tiny little Europe now with 500, it makes sense. If you use blockchain in the middle of a Sahelian region, it makes sense. So I think we have to build that for next year, because that's what day 1 is all about, starting something. We'll be working for the audience with Pierre to check how we could use for this Reskilling the World initiative that we launched yesterday with the Prince, 1 billion in 4 years. Part of this billion could be in cryptocurrencies, right?
Oh, definitely. And moreover, in fact, you have the opportunity through blockchain or DLT, distributed ledger technology, because blockchain is kind of energy consuming and all of that, so you do have to pay attention to the semantics currently, but you can bring some new way of governance, in fact, in using blockchain in those kind of funds, either for Bertrand Piccard, either for your initiatives, which is just great about that. And when I talk to the ICO, for example, I'm managing currently the 4 or 5, one of them which is directly linked to bring water, drinkable water for 1 million people in Africa for 10 million. When you think about that, it's kind of nothing. So we are doing using this kind of technology for Eau Claire, that's the name of the company, just to really to foster, to accelerate, and to quantum leap, in fact, all of the difficulties that we have currently.
Okay. Paul, a tiny little
Yeah,
word.
Denny, what I took about day one is it's about commitments. And I know Remy Hemerick from SOS Sahel is in the audience. But I reiterate, SOS Sahel is committed and has the backing of the UN Secretary General to launch a hub at Davos in January for the Sahel. And that will involve all the different things we've been talking about and promoting that on the ground through the great work of SOS Sahel over the last 40 years to leverage it up. That's our commitment. Remy, are we good for that? Yes, fantastic. Back to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for being here,
Yes.
despite a kind of backstage disorganization. But thank you to all of you, Evan. Thank you for coming, not from so far away, upstairs, but still, we were exchanging at 1 in the morning. Are you coming? What time? Thank you so much for being here.
Merci.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Denny.